So your problem is someone drawing a picture of a person in a coffin when another one has a parent looking at their son or daughter in a coffin. What should concern you? It should concern you to go and get the perpetrators of the death of this young person, not the young person who put those funny pictures on the internet. That you can deal with separately if you think it's an offense. Take them to court. But there's a graver crisis here of killings and forced disappearances.
Well, a very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. And of course, this is another time that we are meeting this year, 2025. And I'm here for the second time this year with my resident guest, Wakili Willis Otieno. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm quite okay.
Keeping well? Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing quite great. And of course, we are more than glad to be back in this country again this particular year. And just see how things are happening. But then, so far so good, I want to get your view on how we've begun this country this year and how things are actually going on. It seems like so many Kenyans are not happy. We closed the year with abductions. We began the same with that. And so far, how things are just transpiring, it's like not so many Kenyans are happy with what is taking place in the country.
You know, the unfortunate bit about this year as we start it is that the ills of Kenya Kwanza are still here with us. And if anything, they are being exacerbated. Because we have now no other person than a member of the National Security Council coming out to assert that based on his own experience, the persons responsible for abductions are the head of national intelligence and the president. And until today, nobody has disputed or challenged his assertions. If you look at when J.B. Muturi first spoke about these abductions, he just made a general statement. And he was invited by the police to come and record a statement. And in that statement he recorded, he gave names. And he said who are the persons of interest. It is quite unfortunate that our high threat of very stellar intelligence service that has been known to do a very commendable job in terms of securing our nation and providing necessary intelligence. Sections of it or segments of it are being turned to become a Tontul Makuts for Papadoc kind of unit that is engaged in acts that were not meant for the intelligence service, acts of abduction, forced disappearances. And I do believe also some of these deaths, there are deaths that have occurred out of these forced disappearances and abductions. So that will be a sad day for this nation, that now becomes the hallmark of our intelligence service. Previously, we had, there was a suspicion that it was the DCI that was involved in this. But in light of the new revelation, then we may actually exonerate the DCI and say, they may not have, they were actually correct when they said they are not involved in these acts. So until and unless we receive contrary assertions from the persons of interest to be named by the former member of the National Security Council, then the assertion is that the regime has gone rogue and they are trying to create a killer squad within the intelligence unit to do its dirty work, which is not the primary function of the intelligence service, and our intelligence service has not been performing those kind of functions previously. That is quite unfortunate. This year also you witnessed when we started, CS Mbadi did stand up and say that Kenyans should not expect any tax relief until the earliest 2034. He is paying 1.9 trillion Kenya shillings in debt. Kenyans need to understand what you have as collections is 2.4 trillion. You are paying 1.9 trillion in debt. You are left with a deficit with only a sum of 500 billion. That is what you need to run the entire government. It's impossible. So you are going to see them increasing your tax. They'll keep increasing your charges, and they'll keep increasing your levies. So our economic pain is still here with us. And Kenya Kwanza have no answer to the economic pain we are going through. You witnessed also yesterday, their hallowed shift share nonsense. that patients have to walk from Kenyatta National Hospital to storm the ministry headquarters to demand for the system to be opened for them. Shift share has failed. Shift share has failed in the sense that, in terms of collections, what they're deducting from the people of Kenya is more than what NHIF was doing. But in terms of the quality of care that we are receiving, it is pathetic. Many Kenyans are not able to access healthcare services. When they go, they are told the system is not working, they don't get approval in time. And disease is not something you can tell, you postpone a disease and tell disease, okay, today shift share is not working, I have not gotten approval, give me 2 weeks, you can come back to afflict me. A disease, once you have a disease, it is nobody invites a disease to themselves. If you need care, you need it immediately. And you need to be attended to immediately. So shift share has exposed a vast majority of Kenyans without cover. So people have to dig deep into their pockets to raise funds to attend to their healthcare needs in this country.
We call it the home of engineers. We train you how to make engineering drawings. We have a brilliant drawing and detailing program that will not only train you how to draw and detail, but you'll also learn how to draw and detail using the software.
AutoCAD. By the time that you're going to university, you'll be able to do AutoCAD by yourself. Imagine if they are asking you to just do that project for them.
Once you have these tools, you will not only be industry ready, but you will be ahead of your peers in the job market, and it will give you a brilliant competitive edge while looking for a job.
I would like to advise the students who are done with maybe high school, and also if you've graduated from university, colleges, and you've done a course related to civil engineering, building, architect, so that you can join here because it has a lot of practical works.
Welcome to SciTech.
So for you, we are back where we were the previous years, and of course, it's like the government is actually doing nothing to take us out of this particular mess that we are in. I want to take you back to the whole saga around abductions and all these, and at this particular moment in time, of course, you've talked about the revelations by Justin Muturi, but then there are certain people who also believe that in as much as there may be some sort of truth in what is said, of course, we've not yet substantiated all those statements that he made. But then, do you think for somebody who is serving in the government and who is a member of the cabinet, for him to come out and utter those words and, of course, come up with a press conference, is it in order? Is it legal? Is it the right thing for him to do?
You know, the first thing that you must focus on is that Justice Muturi did not name those names in a press conference. Justice Muturi did his press conference condemning abductions.
Yes.
And he mentioned the experience of his own son. He was invited by the police to go and record a statement to give the police the information that he has. And he did appear before the DCI Kilimani. And he gave his statement, which was detailed and gave particulars, including names, dates, and incidents. So this statement was not reckless. It was given as part of an investigation. So as it is, we can actually say there's an active investigation on the abduction of the son. And the father has given his experience, plus the interventions, plus people who made phone calls, plus people who made commitments to release the son, plus people who confirmed that indeed they had abducted the son they were holding him. So it is a very responsible statement to help with investigations. What we expect next is for William Ruto to be summoned to DCI to write his statement, and for DG Nurdin to also be summoned to write his statement, to counter or to give their own experiences of what transpired. That is what will build the rule of law. So there's nothing irresponsible that J.B. Muturi has said. If anything, it was his own son who was abducted and is giving his personal experience as to what he went through in terms of trying to locate his son. So we should not focus on the position that J.B. Muturi holds today. That position If you focus on him, then you are misleading people away from, taking people away from the core issue. The core issue is abductions and false disappearances that are now rampant in this country. We don't care about J.B. Muturi as a person. But J.B. Muturi is a person who has an experience, first-hand experience with abductions, and is giving his experience. What we should be focusing on, take the information. You don't have to like J.B. Muturi, but take the information and proceed further with the probe. And those who are culpable are called to book. Because these abductions and false disappearances, if you look at the International Crimes Act and even the Rome Statute, there's what we call, when you want to prove the crime of crimes against humanity, component of abduction and false disappearances, you look at it is widespread, it is systemic, and is targeted against a civilian population. All those key ingredients are present today in the Kenyan case. So our abductions are systemic, they are widespread, and they are targeted at civilian populations. So these are crimes against humanity, for which people will have to be called to answer. And we are moving into a new realm of the rule of law in this country, where even if people think that they have positions of power that they hold, there is no limitation of actions for criminal activity. Even in their 90s, even if they are retired, they will be tried and they will be found culpable. Those who committed Nazi atrocities, some are who are still alive are in their 90s. There was one who was even over 100 years. He's been tried for those crimes. So there's no limitation of action. So the officers who are doing these things, they need to understand that they're just determining their future. And it will catch up with them. So we must agree that less people will step back. Don't abduct, don't disappear someone because you disagree with an opinion that they hold. That is the part of the beauty of democracy. That people are supposed to freely express themselves and hold opinions which may be contrary to your own opinion. The answer cannot be to kill them or to abduct them.
We've heard sentiments from various leaders from the political divide on this very issue, and a number of them are here saying, here and dismissing J.B. Muturi's claims, telling him not to drag his petty politics, not to drag actually the NIS and of course the NIS boss into his kind of petty politics, so to say. You have seen the words by Narok Senator Ledamo Lekina and so many, I don't even want to mention the rest of them. But then could there be a danger in coming out and telling the country clearly that it is our intelligence service that is actually kind of responsible for some of these things?
If your intelligence service has gone rogue, or there are some rogue elements within the intelligence service, then it is the responsibility of everybody, including other officers of that intelligence service, to speak out. Because the intelligence service was not set up to conduct abductions and forced disappearances. And I do believe the bulk majority of our intelligence officers are not involved in those kind of acts. It is just rogue elements within the unit. And in this particular instance, the DG is mentioned. And JB did not say these things in a funeral somewhere or a political rally. This is a statement issued as part of an ongoing investigations by the police. That was a responsible statement. And what has JB said that is false? Nobody is disputing that his son was abducted. There was a video. There were witnesses to his abduction. Nobody is disputing that JB was an Attorney General at the time. That was even gazetted. Everybody knew it was public knowledge of the Attorney General. Nobody is disputing that JB was a member of National Security Council by virtue of his office as Attorney General. It's fact. Nobody is disputing that JB had access to the president. And he proceeds further to tell us now, in that my access to the president, I discussed the issue of my son. And in discussing the issue of my son, he made a call. And this is what transpired on that call. So, where's the politics in it? Unfortunately, as we discuss this and they try to turn this into a political contestation, Denzel Omondi, graduate quantity surveyor, was dumped in a quarry, found floating. He's now 6 feet under in Kanyabiang, in Homa Bay. There are 60 other people who were killed. Denzel was abducted. Denzel's father didn't have the privilege of access to a president to make the case for his son. Denzel was killed. Up to date, there's no answer as to what transpired from the point of abduction of Denzel to the point of his murder. Joshua Okayo, president of Kenya School of Law Students, was abducted. He was dumped in River Maragua. He was lucky that a stone stopped or prevented him from being swept by the river. His feet was caught somewhere on a stone. That is what saved him. He was thrown on the river unconscious. He could have died. If the river water swept him, Joshua Okayo would be no more. So these are facts that happen in the country. Kibet Bull was abducted just for drawing cartoons. His brother, who had done nothing anyway, was abducted. Bernard Kivuli. The Bob Njage and the Kitengela brothers were abducted and held for 32 days. I mean, you can go, the list goes on and on. Even as I'm speaking right now, there are more, over 30 Kenyans who've been abducted and disappeared, being held in unknown locations. So who is doing this? So we should not try to belittle the experience of these Kenyans by saying this is politics. What is political about the horrendous experience these young people have gone through? Because it is something that you not wish on anyone, to be taken through such horrendous experience just for holding a contrary view. So we should not, at any point in my view, turn this thing to be political. Those members of parliament who are talking, what you will have expected of our working parliament was for them to convene, to conduct an inquiry. Because right there, if there's truth in what JB is saying, then Ruto stands impeached. He is part of a criminal enterprise that is committing crimes against humanity. That is what the parliament should be investigating. They should be doing an inquiry to establish if it is truth or not. And if they find the substance in it, they should impeach him.
In short, you're saying the buck stops with the president at this particular moment in time?
Of course, the buck stops with the president.
Okay.
And he bears the ultimate responsibility for all those people who have been disappeared and those who have been abducted.
And you've also mentioned here that you expect him to record a statement as well because his name was mentioned
His name has been mentioned. Is he above the law? This is an inquiry. He should tell us his part. He's been mentioned. It's a person of interest. Ruto has become a person of interest in abduction to the extent that a member of the National Security Council who had access to him has single-handedly pointed him, has named him. So he needs to write a statement to tell us his own facts. Because as it is now, it's almost 3 days since JB spoke. Nobody has rebutted what he has said.
Okay.
The people he has mentioned, none of them has issued a statement to the police contravening what JB has said, contradicting what JB has said. So it means the assertions as it is now still remain truthful. And the politicians talking, the Ledamas and the others talking all over, they are not mentioned. Keep quiet. You are not the people being mentioned in JB's statement. Let the people he has fingered be the ones to write a statement to deny or to confirm. Because in part of that statement, he tells us after the one phone call, within the 1 hour promised, the son was released and is back at home. So there's corroboration of his testimony.
In the wake of all these abductions and what is taking place in the country, we've seen very serious and senior government officials snub court summons there, and we've got the DCI boss and of course the Inspector General of Police. All of them are not here, are not giving us answers. And I want to know, at this point in time, whom do we expect now to bear the biggest responsibility? I hear you expect the president to go and record a statement, yet the Inspector General of Police and even the DCI boss themselves cannot actually even appear before the court. What situation do we find ourselves in right now?
We are now creating a state of lawlessness. That's what is happening. And we are slowly eroding the confidence in institutions. And that's a very dangerous path for a country to take. Because once you reach a point where people don't have faith or confidence in institutions, they'll resort to anarchy. And nobody wants anarchy in the country. But their day with destiny will come. The beauty about this is not a monarchy. This is a republic led by a constitution where the people are supreme, not the monarchy supreme. So they'll face their day with destiny when that time comes.
The people who believe that ruling by threats and doing all these things that are happening right now may not actually work at this moment, especially at this level where we are right now in this century. Such kind of things cannot work for us right now. I've seen a lot of threats being made on social media platforms, of course. More common saying here that all those people who misused the internet or so and say will be prosecuted and so on. But then, astonishingly enough, they've not told us what they'll do to those who are abducting Kenyans.
You know, they don't seem to focus even on the crimes which people are complaining about. People expressing themselves on X is not an offense. You may not like what they are saying, but that's the beauty of democracy. Not everybody must say what you like. And what these guys should be focusing on is a conversation on why are these free speakers being abducted and forcefully disappeared. That is where the problem lies. So these threats to social media, Mara telling us that you need to educate children, show them what, there's nothing we are showing them. They've learned from the political class. If anything, they are brave enough to speak their minds. The education is complete. And they're able to express themselves and say, when things are going wrong, we don't agree with it. So these threats of, why are you focusing on a tweet when somebody is lying in a coffin who was actually killed by a police bullet? So your problem is someone drawing a picture of a person in a coffin when another one has a parent looking at their son or daughter in a coffin. What should concern you? It should concern you to go and get the perpetrators of the death of this young person, not the young person who put those funny pictures on the internet. That you can deal with separately if it thinks an offense. Take them to court. But there's a graver crisis here of killings and forced disappearances. It should be our focus. That is what we need to talk about.
Well, let's wait and see whether the president will act now that people are saying here that it's now very possible for these things to end, owing to the fact that at least we've got a clue about the possible involvement of certain government agencies and the NIS being implicated in these particular actions that have been happening here. Quite unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop for now till we have this conversation. Have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi, but of course, do not fail to weigh in and tell us what you think about what is going on in the country.